Okay, back to Vera.
To help out, as I've said before, we needed all the financial help we could. So the boys both worked as caddies at the Twalton Country Club, a Jewish-owned place.
Private club.
Private club. During that time, they got to meet some very professional people, Jewish people that liked Vic especially, and one of them had quite a deep interest in Standard Oil. So he suggested to Vic, why don't you come and go to work for Standard? So he said, there's an opening in Klamath Falls, and if you want to, you can be the manager down there, because Vic had worked also in ours. So then Vic decided to move down there. And I can remember we missed him so much that one night he came home and didn't tell us. And the next day we found his car out in front, and Mom said, Vic is home. And we went into the bedroom where he was and we all landed on the bed, and the bed fell. Everybody was so happy to see him. Anyhow, gradually, after I graduated in 1935 from high school, things were not very good in finding a job. And Elmer and I went part of a year, down to the LA area to see if we could find something that we did like down there. And that's we lived with our Uncle Paul and his wife. And Elmer went home before I did. And then I came home from Los Angeles, and I had a chance. A friend of mine drove a Freightliner, and he had another driver with him, and at that time his son was riding also, so the cab was pretty full. Yeah, I rode partly with him, and then his son got out earlier, and then there was just the three of us in that cab. Well, that last few miles going into Klamath Falls is hills, and that big old truck, it didn't make good time at all. It got so bad that I felt like I told him, let me get out and walk. I think I can go faster than this. Anyhow, we ended up in Klamath Falls, where Vic was. And so I stayed there and then went on the train further. So the following fall, I went down in 1939 to Klamath Falls and joined, and Elmer came too, and he went to work for the same company down in Redding for a while, but we all ended up in Klamath Falls. And that's when Elmer married Evelyn Jolly. It's kind of funny about that one, because I worked with Evelyn in the credit reporting place. And so one time I had mentioned that Evelyn was very pretty. And here was Elmer waiting for me when I came off work, because he kind of knew I would be with Evelyn. So I introduced them. So he asked her for a date. And so the next day she asked me, what do you think about me having a date with your brother? I said, well, I don't know, he's my brother. I couldn't tell you further than that. So anyhow, that was the start. And then they got married in March or April of
40?
40. Just before your folks.
Yeah.
Anyhow. Then Vic he was playing the field pretty much. At one time he had 3 girlfriends at Christmas. He said, never again. So, anyhow, he picked your mother. He picked Myrna's, and that was a wonderful choice. That was a wonderful marriage. And just think they had good kids. They had Sandy, and I remember when Sandy was born. I was there in the hospital with Vic, and your mother was there in the room, and we said, "Oh, what do you think we should call her?" And everybody said, "Well, Sandra." She said, "You named that, but I get to name the middle one, which is Maureen." She said, "I want it Sandra Maureen." So that turned out just well. In the meantime, then, they were there until he enlisted. Everybody had to enlist, as you know, into the service.
Vera, can we go back a minute to
Yeah.
Klamath Falls?
Yeah.
And you and Elmer and Vic sharing apartments, and was
Yeah.
Francis there too?
Yeah. Oh, it was a hotel. Used to be a hotel, but they made apartments in there. And so we had we had a lot of company, and there was always somebody there extra to eat. And Vic loved to hunt geese. And those geese, I didn't like them because they tasted like fish feeding, off the lake there.
Yeah.
And so one day, I got so tired of picking those pin feathers out. And I thought, I'm not going to do with any more of these. So we had a long opening, and you dump your garbage down, and it finally down in the bottom, it landed. So I took that geese, that was it, and I put it down there, and that was the end of it. Vic said, "Where is that geese?" Oh, I said, "I got rid of it." "You did?" He said. "Yes." I said, I decided I wasn't going to clean all those. That's a really job. You get rid of the original feathers and the pin feathers you've got. Oh, they're a mess. But anyhow, I tell you what, Vic, you just go ahead and do all your hunting, but you take it to the butcher shop, and when it's all ready to cook, I'll take care of it. So he did. That was it. Well, then one summer, before he and Ernest got married, he spent up at Crater Lake as manager of that service station up there.
Mm-hmm.
So he got to know a lot of those college people that were working up there, so that was nice. So this one man that was working with him, he's saying to be a doctor, Vic said, "Well, they've got room for you there, you can go stay with them."
Oh, with you?
Yeah, we were already pretty. And Vic, what he did, he established a credit for us at the store. So you just go and buy what you need for groceries, and then I'll pick up the bill. And you could have seen the look on his face when he saw the bill. Vic was tight.
Better than you?
So anyhow, it was nice. And then we lived together pretty well until Elmer and Evelyn got married. So then there were the three of us. And we moved into one place, and we didn't like it because the gas stove had a leak. You could never get away from that smell, and we didn't feel like it was good. So I told them we're going to move again. And I said, "Now I'm making a pile here of things that we're going to throw away. And I'll start it with some things I want to, and then you just add to it. And at night when I get home from work, I was working for the Credit Bureau, I'll just we'll get rid of it altogether." I came home from work, and all that was left was something I put out. So anyhow, that was a mess. So Evelyn and Myrna helped us move out of that apartment, which was upstairs, an outside stairway. And having a great time because everything, we were all so tired that got loony. And halfway down the steps, we got a laughing spell and we couldn't hardly hold on to anything. We finally made it down there. So Vic decided that he would move with us there. It was over a store on the main drag in Klamath Falls. And we were in that apartment when Vic told me, he said, I'm getting married. He said, Marissa and I were going to Abrino and get married. I said, are you sure? I don't know why I even asked him that. But I said, are you sure you want to? Yes, I'm very sure. She's for me. So they left and went up to Reno and got married and came back. And he said it was quite an experience. He said, I've never used to having somebody in bed with me with my arm around him. Anyhow, that was really cute. And then they bought that house, you know, over there. So that was nice. And Elmer and Evelyn, Elmer and Vic bought a service station themselves and were running that.
Yeah.
And then eventually the war came and they had to enlist. And Vic was one of the first numbers, but he didn't qualify because he was married and I think a baby coming on. So that just meant that Elmer was one picked. And then he went into the service. I was trying to think when it was that he went in the service. And one time he was, after basic training, he was down here in Sacramento. He went into the Signal Corps in the service. And he was here billeted for a short while, and Evelyn came down, and I came down from Klamath Falls to visit. And so I got to see him before they went overseas. And then he went overseas and was with Patton. When Patton went into Berlin, he was with Patton at that time. And then the war was over, you know, when Hitler, committed whatever. Anyhow,
Whatever happened to him.
yeah. So he's still over there in Berlin and waiting for transportation home. So while he's there, they said, well, you like golf? You can teach golf. So he taught the GIs golf over there in Berlin. So that was kind of interesting. He was billeted with a German family. They had one daughter, and he got to know the family well. And they had a big dog, and she was going to have pups. And Elmer liked that dog so much. And they said, well, when you go home, when the pups are, we'll send you one of them. So that's what happened. They sent him one of these pups, and you never saw a bigger dog in your life. When he stood on his hind feet, he could put his paws on your shoulder.
Was that German Shepherd?
That was that German Shepherd.
That was,
That's the one I was always getting loose. He was always getting loose. And he would come running around that corner there by the store, and people wouldn't even know that he was around, and he was so friendly, jumping and grabbing him. Well, I must tell you about this one old Chinese character that they had in Tuolumne. There was one home that was quite well, the people were well doing. It was across the tracks. And old Hang used to work for them. In the summer, he wore boots. In the winter, he went barefoot. But anyhow, all the kids were kind of scared of him. You know, old Hang. They thought he was a little queer. But he was really a character. And